Hi guys, we need more people like Jemma Forte. So she's a political commentator and podcaster who calls out hypocrisy when she sees it. Jemma delivered a blistering attack on the Tories who have been trying to turn a non-story into one. Angela Rayner, the Deputy Labour leader, sold her council house something like 15 years ago, and the Tories are trying to convince the public that she's avoiding paying her taxes. We're talking about a few £1,000 here, not hundreds or even millions. Here Jemma explains why the Tory hypocrisy is so egregious.
So things are getting dirty, so the Daily Mail and the other right-wing papers are trying to find anything that they can, dirt on the Labour Party. And this is the second time the Daily Mail have really featured this very, very heavily. And the story is Angela Rayner sold her bought her council house and apparently might owe between £1,500 to say £3,500 in capital gains tax. When she sold it. However, this has already been looked at. She's had legal advice saying she's fine. It was looked at by the police once, but these people are desperate to reopen the case. The hypocrisy is just off the scale, because the Daily Mail is owned by Lord Ashcroft, who doesn't pay tax in this country, a non-dom, who has millions and millions and millions of pounds offshore. A newspaper that avoids paying its tax. And they're going after a woman who bought her council house and owes a couple of grand. Now, if that is so, then obviously important members of the Labour Party need to be held up to scrutiny. They need to be accountable. That's absolutely fine. But from a party that is full of millionaires and billionaires and people like Jeremy Hunt, who, for instance, said it was an honest mistake that he didn't pay stamp duty on 7 properties. It feels rather grotesque to me. And actually what I think they don't realise they're doing is they're highlighting that in the Labour Party, you have a woman who came from a council house. And actually, I think that's really refreshing and really, really required at the moment. I think we need that in our government. I think part of the problem at the moment is that we've got a government full of, Eatonites and multimillionaires who perhaps don't understand the real problems that the country are facing.
Exactly. They don't understand the problems the country is facing. And instead of actually dealing with the problems the country is facing, they want to attack the Labour Party, and they will do whatever they can. And of course, they will use their tools like the Daily Mail, the Sun, the Express, whatever, to achieve that as well. So we've seen it back in 2020, where I think it was the Daily Mail or the Mail on Sunday. No, I think it was the Daily Mail ran articles, 10 pages, front pages of articles on Keir Starmer having a curry during the pandemic. Now, if it wasn't real journalism, it was an attempt to smear him. It was an attempt to say, well, look, Boris Johnson may be doing pretty bad stuff, but what about Keir Starmer? Of course, Boris Johnson was having parties. Keir Starmer had a curry as part of a work event. So the police investigated it and found nothing wrong with it. But that didn't stop the Daily Mail running 10 front pages for 10 days or something like that of articles about Keir Starmer. This is what they're designed to do. It's about encouraging ordinary people to look at the Labour Party or look at the opposition and say, well, there's probably something wrong with them, and not look at the Conservatives. Nadine Zawahiri, who was using public money to keep his horses warm, and other egregious activities. Jeremy Hunt, who has something like 7 properties. He's a landlord of 7 properties. And as was pointed out, he forgot that he had to pay stamp duty on some of these properties. Rishi Sunak's wife, who's a multi-billionaire, or her father's a multi-billionaire, and we don't know what's happening with her taxes, and we don't know what's happening with her father, who has, it seems, continued his operations in Russia, which is meant to be not happening. So what they don't want you to do is look at what the Tories are doing and instead look at the opposition, in this case, the Labour Party. Now, this is all part of a plan to try and convince the public, look, it's better to stick with the Tories. Labour can't be trusted. And it's all about convincing ordinary people that at the end of the day, they're all really the same. That Starmer is no different to Rishi Sunak, and Rachel Reeves is no different, or Angela Rayner is no different to any of the Tories. That they're all corrupt, and what that does is it places in the minds of the public a massive amount of doubt and distrust of politicians. Now, this is understandable on many levels, but when it comes to the general election, the newspapers are not trying to convince people that they need to look at politicians with a critical eye. It's look at certain politicians with a critical eye, not the ones that they're backing. But as was pointed out, the owner of the newspaper lives offshore. I think he lives in Monaco, and he pays taxes outside the UK. So he really should shut up. Wonderful commentary here once again by Jemma. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.